Yes, hello, and thank you for being here. It is my pleasure to be talking to you. Still about emails, and it's very important because these break or make conversations, these make or break relationships, these are the small nuances that make a business deal, that make a wonderful neighbor relationship. Um, the devil is in the details, they say. And I think, especially in old Europe, this is most certainly true. Excuse me. Uh, yeah, I, my screen just jumped around. So I want to continue talking about emails and introductory emails. So I received an email yesterday. I already dealt with it and replied, but I just want to tell the story. So I had been to a meeting, and it was a nice anticipated meeting, and we covered a lot of ground. And there was a secretary there, and the secretary was asked to make an introduction because to one of her colleagues who was not working exactly at that same entity. But this person is already of quite high level, and even if not at high level, even if it was another um, uh, co-worker, even another secretary, secretaries usually take the calls, but anybody else whose main responsibility is not to answer random calls, um, they would have expected a different kind of an introduction. And what happened is that they just said, well, it was lovely meeting you, and it was so nice that you came to the meeting, and everybody appreciated it, and thank you for sharing whatever was shared. And um, referring back to the introduction, uh, here's the person. Here are the contact details. So it's the person's name, their email, but most importantly, their mobile telephone number, without any introduction, without saying um, whether they had spoken to them, and whether anybody had spoken to them. So, what is the problem? Point one, um, the permission point is very important. Um, Quite correctly, they had asked me, may we share with that person your contact details? And I explicitly said yes. But from the email that they just dropped me, I don't know if they shared them or did not share them, so I cannot be sure. But they have my permission. So normally, step number two for them would be to reach out to that person and ask whether they could share my contact details. So, point one, very important one, that the point to meet is not necessarily a consent to share contact details. Sometimes they get treated, too often they get treated equally, but it's not at all equal. Contact details are very personal, and they're also strictly um, protected by law. So specifically, um, the person needs to be asked, may I share your email and number with them? And they did ask that, and I said yes. But when they dropped the email to me, I have no idea. I have no idea whether they had asked the other person. And from the way that it was done, even though it came from a professional, I rather lost trust because I was not sure whether they had really had a conversation with the party they're introducing me to prior to dropping me their contact information. So um, when you ask somebody whether you could share, there's a certain point you cannot ask right away. You cannot ask immediately. I mean, you can, but most likely they will refer you to their office or give you a very generic email. So there's also sensitivity at which point you should be asking for um, a direct possibility to contact somebody. But a very, very important point is to give always somebody a real way out. And also to expect always that this question could be asked and prepare yourself to have a real way out. So what is a real way out? You can say, well, at the moment I will be traveling, so I would actually, or my schedule is really busy. I'm not really quite sure I can handle another new relationship, but perhaps um, they could contact me on LinkedIn and or any other more neutral space. And then you can just accept or not accept their LinkedIn invitation, for example. Or you can just say, no, at this point, I don't really think I will have time for a new relationship, but I very much appreciate it. I will keep in mind that you would be willing and happy to introduce me to this person, but this is not the right time. And you should be prepared to say it, to practice it, because these situations may very much occur and you may be on both sides. Very important, small nuance, but it either makes or breaks the relationship. And not only between the two people that are possibly being introduced, but also with the third party involved in the middle. How much do we trust them? How much do we trust them with our information? How professional are they sharing it with others? That at some point, or at the point which I described, could also become very questionable. Point 4, when in doubt, offer to relay the first message yourself before handling over contacts directly. That way, the second person controls when they engage. It's a possibility. I prefer to have conversations. So, but you can, of course, do that also with the email. So you can write an email and say, we just had a conversation with this person, and the reason why I thought they would be of interest or connecting you would be interesting is because X, Y, and Z. And you give the points, and then, of course, the person can decide. And then if they don't reply, again, you can follow up. Or in this case, I wouldn't really enforce it. And that's why when you do ask permissions, I think that it's a better way to call them or to when you see them and oh, you should prepare yourself when you go to different meetings, even to networking meetings, when you know you will meet that person and you say, there's somebody I wanted to introduce you to, but I wanted to get your permission. Can I share your email or even mobile number? Would you be comfortable? I would like to write a formal introductory email and put you in touch because you're both in this business, and I'm not really sure it's for you to explore, but it might be a possibility for you to collaborate, for example. Consent and mutual respect and respect for my property, for my information is really the foundation of any relationship. And it starts already before an introduction. It starts at the point of introducing. And if the introduction is not done well, it either reinforces the relationship with the third party or it diminishes it. And in the example that I gave, it diminished my trust in how much I can share with the person who would be handling my information, the introducer themselves. And of course, I can't contact the person by the name dropping, and I can never refer to this conversation really back because I don't know um, how much information has been shared about me. So the only exception would be that if you're sitting next to that person by chance at a business lunch, and then you can have a more depth in conversation and say, well, actually, I had a meeting some weeks ago at this Office X, and they mentioned that our collaboration could be interesting. But then you are the one really doing all of the work, but you're not ignoring, you're referring back very vaguely to the conversation. And what you're ignoring the inappropriate in many ways, not to say also illegal email introduction. Of course, there's also a high possibility that they had also asked and they just dropped because they thought, well, this is the way um, it should be done. Because they think, well, I asked, they said yes, and here I drop it. But I don't know it. I don't know it. So, of course, I would not take the initiative to call that person. And why wouldn't I take the initiative? Because if you can imagine somebody calling you up on an unknown number, it's either an advertiser. So most of the time, I don't even pick up phone numbers. So usually, when I get a business introduction, I put it immediately in my contacts. Because when I received a telephone call or a WhatsApp call from somebody who is not in my contacts, high chance that I will not reply. And if exceptionally, once in a while, I do reply, I expect already for it to be an advertiser, unless, I have applied for something and I'm half expecting somebody to call. Or if somebody calls and say, hey, hello, hello, I got your number, or even without saying, I got your number, you introduce yourself by your name, or the person introduces, and I get frustrated and angry because it's my personal mobile number that they're reaching out to. They know my name. I have not given my permission for them to call, and I'm already annoyed. So imagine we're trying to do a business collaboration. And the first contact I have with the person or they have with me is annoyance and frustration and kind of mistrust, like who is sharing information, who is permitting themselves um, to give my contact without me expecting that call or without me setting it up myself. Small nuances, very important. Also very important in the legal sense, but in the sense of building trust, which is most of the time what we would like to do when we have people contacting us. Um, this is just completely destroyed. And I can't say that the relationship cannot be repaired, but it is not off to a good start. So my suggestion would be just to not call and to wait for an opportunity where you can meet this person um, and introduce yourself. Just introduce yourself. without really referring to that unfortunate email. Thank you for listening. I hope it's helpful. Let me know if these conversations on the small nuances are helpful. It helps me make better videos, and there's so many topics I want to cover. So sometimes I jump from one to the next, but I think these are very small nuances. And I hope these conversations are helpful to you. I wish I had them when I first started in the business, and having moved countries from US to Latvia to Europe, I really have had some interesting situations, very puzzling ones. And little by little, I will be sharing them also in my videos. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.